Hey guys, it's Caleb. So for my first YouTube video, I really wanted to share my coming out story. I've seen a lot of these done on YouTube and I always found them so interesting. And since this channel is so new, I thought it'd be a good way for us to kind of get to know each other. So let's get started. I guess to start off this video, I'm gonna kind of start just at the beginning. So basically I'm gonna start from like the time I was little to basically now. So I think a lot of people in the LGBT community do realize their sexuality at an early age. And this is kind of how it was for me as well. Ever since I was little, I knew I was gay. I knew that I liked boys, and I knew that that was just my sexual preference. However, when you're young, you sometimes don't realize it as being different. When you're little, I feel like you're the most honest with yourself. I feel like you're able to be the person that you want to be and just, enjoy the things that you like. However, the things that I liked were different than what a lot of people around me liked. So I grew up in a very small town. So the town was probably about 1,000 people. And it was a pretty wide area, but it didn't have a lot of people. So mainly it was just farmland. So growing up in a small town with not many gay people around was very hard for me. Since I didn't have a lot of background with being gay or really knowing what it meant, I kind of just gravitated more towards like, I liked girls, which definitely was not true at all. Also, growing up, I, watched a lot of Disney movies that had a boy and a girl. I, had a mom and dad that were a boy and a girl. I just thought like a relationship was between a boy and a girl. So just at a young age, I felt that my feelings were wrong. So finally, when I started school, I had the mindset that I had to hide who I was from the very start. In grade school, I tended to hang around a lot with girls. Like, I just felt more comfortable with girls. A lot of the guys were very rough and they would like jump on top of each other and just be like very rowdy, and that just isn't who I am. So I always felt more comfortable with girls. I wasn't the kind of kid that wanted to go outside and play football or soccer or basketball. So mainly I would just play tag with like a bunch of girls and like, talk with all the girls, and just, I was very comfortable with that. But if you're young and at a very young age, when people spot something that's different, they automatically think it's weird and that they have to make fun of it. So that's basically what happened. I was teased like no other. I was called gay, I was called a faggot, I was called anything that you can really think of that has to do with being gay. I was probably called it. And at a young age, that's so hard for a kid to deal with because you don't really know what you're doing wrong. I thought that I was doing something wrong. I felt like what I was doing and who I was hanging out with was wrong. I thought that I was abnormal and that something was just wrong with me. So as time went on, the bullying just kept going on and on and on. And like, it got to the point where my self-esteem was it was so low. It was so low. I was already a shy kid to start off with. But at this point, I had become so reserved and so nervous that I just didn't know what to do. To deal with all of the torment, I basically just shut down. I didn't, defend myself. I just tried to push it out of my brain and ignore it. By doing that, I kept a lot of things bottled up. I felt very ashamed of who I was. I felt that what I felt was wrong and that I couldn't tell anyone about it. So my parents never heard about me getting teased. My teachers never heard about it. The principal never heard about it. Nobody ever heard that I was getting teased. So this tends to be a big issue. So at a young age, I was experiencing a lot of shame. And there's two types of shames. There's shame that you internalize where you're like, yes, I did deserve that. And the other kind of shame is, no, I did not deserve that. And I was the kind of kid that was like, yes, I did deserve that. And that's the kind of shame that normally doesn't get heard by parents, by teachers, by principals. No adult figure really will ever hear about it. Like, pretty much no one will ever hear about it. And that's basically what happened. I was not telling anyone that I was getting made fun of or teased or anything. So I was basically getting abused every day, coming home and pretending like everything was okay. When honestly, inside, I was literally just dying. Like, I was honestly decaying from like the inside out. Later on, in about, I would say 6th or 7th grade, the girls kind of stopped hanging around me because a lot of them wanted to just hang out with girls, and with me being around, maybe they just felt uncomfortable with having a boy around or something, and they were talking about, you know, girl things or whatever. Basically, I kind of got pushed out of kind of the girl group, and I didn't really fit in with the boy group. So I was very much in the middle where I didn't really fit into like a general category. So what had happened was I ended up meeting these two girls at my school, and both of them I honestly can say were probably one of the best friendships that I had ever had in my entire life. So we became really good friends, and we were all kind of outcasts together. One of the girls didn't have a lot of friends, and the other girl didn't have a lot of friends, and so I didn't have a lot of friends, so we kind of just met kind of together in the middle. They didn't judge me, they didn't make fun of me, they accepted me for who I was, and that kind of was something that I was not used to. Eventually 8th grade came along, and I started school, but the other two girls didn't. My other friend had transferred schools, and the other girl was getting homeschooled now. So in 8th grade, I was basically left by myself in this school of people that did not like me. So already being like a shy, socially awkward, reserved kid, this was extremely difficult for me. I had never felt so depressed in my life than I did when I was in 8th grade. Basically in 8th grade, I became like a mute. I was afraid to even talk to anyone because I was so afraid of what they were gonna say. I was very self-conscious of my voice because it is more feminine, obviously. My worst fear was reading. I hated having to read aloud in class. You know how like in school, they like go down the rows and they like, you read by like, you take a turn and read? That was literally my biggest fear. I remember when we had to do that and it was my turn, I would read and all I would think about is like, I just have to get through this so quickly. I can't have them thinking I'm gay. I can't have them thinking this. Because I used to always think that they were like, oh my god, this kid's so gay, blah, blah, blah. And at this point, I still hadn't accepted my sexuality. I was still trying to like figure it all out. So by the time 8th grade ended, my self-confidence was literally, it was non-existent. I had no self-confidence. I just felt like trash. I felt terrible about myself. I was like, what am I doing wrong? How can I fix it? How can I pretend to be someone else? Because I had gone out for basketball so that I could make more guy friends. I am not an athletic person at all. I hate it. And people can see through something if you don't like it. And I think that's what happened is they automatically saw through it and they're like, this kid's just trying to fit in. He's just trying to put on a show for all of us, trying to trick us into thinking he's something that he's not. So that didn't help at all. That honestly just made the bullying worse. I was honestly so destroyed because I had tried so hard to pretend to be someone that I wasn't for so long that I was like, I don't understand why they don't like me because I didn't fit in being myself and I didn't fit in pretending to be like them. So I was at a loss. By the time 8th grade ended, I had just given up. I remember the last day of 8th grade, my class we had gym class, so we were able to leave early. We didn't have to go to gym class. I was not about to go to gym class. I remember sitting and waiting, and I saw a bunch of other kids leaving, and I had honestly had it. I was like, I have got to get out of here. My parents still weren't coming for another hour, but I was like, I cannot sit here for another second in this school and deal with these people. You know how on like the last day, you like pack up all your stuff in your backpack and you have like just all this crap and like it's so heavy? And I also played in the band, so I also had a big drum case that I had to put in a bag and carry with me. So the last day of school, I got my backpack full of all my stuff, I got my band case, and I honestly ditched. I was just like, goodbye, and it was raining too. It was raining and I had a 2-mile walk from my house with all of my stuff. But I had literally honestly just had it. I could not take another second in that school. So I walked home with my drum case, my backpack full of all my stuff, in the pouring rain for 2 miles to get home because I didn't want to wait for my parents. I couldn't wait for another hour in that school for my parents to come get me. I had been so defeated, you guys. I was just at that point where I could just not even handle it anymore. And I remember that this The summer after 8th grade, I never hung out with anybody. I didn't do anything. I felt so bad. I was so shy. I couldn't handle it. I still wasn't accepting the fact that I was gay or that I had all these problems that I had to deal with. I was like, no, I don't need to see a therapist. I'm not gay, I'm blah, blah. And I just kept trying to lie to myself because all I wanted to do was fit in. That was like my biggest thing, was I wanted to fit in. I just wanted to be normal. And I felt like if I was gay or anything else, I would stand out. And that's like the last thing I wanted to do. I was so anxious and so nervous that I just couldn't. I was like, I can't stand out. I can't be different than everyone else. I have to be like everyone else. So starting high school, I had a choice between 2 high schools. So I could have gone to a private Lutheran high school or this high school that everyone from my grade school was going to. And I was like, I am not going to that high school that all the kids from my grade school went to. I'm like, nothing is gonna change. I'm gonna be the same person. They're all gonna make fun of me, and it's gonna be bad. And that is just not what I wanted. And it was also a bigger high school, and me having like so much social anxiety, I was like, I cannot handle a big school like that. I ended up going to the Wells Lutheran High School. Wells Lutheran, if you don't kind of know what that religion is about, basically they follow the Bible pretty strictly. Basically, yes, being gay is a sin to them. That was also not a great choice for me to go to that school. But I ended up going to that school, and the bullying was pretty much the same. So basically, I was made fun of, called faggot, tormented. I had stuff thrown at me. I had gum stuck to my locker. I had all these just horrible things. I had kids laughing at me all the time. It was honestly just horrible. Like, I was just like, still so beaten down. And my self-esteem was like here. So I wasn't defending myself. I wasn't telling anyone. So for years and years and years and years, I was getting abused and tormented. And I just didn't say anything because I felt embarrassed. It was embarrassing, and I was ashamed of who I was. And I was ashamed of what they were saying, because if I told someone, they would obviously ask what they were saying, and I didn't want people to know if they were saying I was gay. Like, that terrified me. I was like, oh no, they cannot know that. I still hadn't accepted the fact that I was gay. I was still really struggling with it because all I wanted to do was fit in. And again, I didn't know any gay people. Like, I didn't know any gay people until like maybe 2 years ago. Like, personally, I may have seen them on TV and stuff, but I had never actually met a person that identified as gay. Up until about my beginning of my senior year, I had not accepted that I was gay. And finally, the summer before my senior year, I had really done a lot of soul searching and just trying to like figure out like what I needed to do and why I felt so bad. So I started going to therapy. I started taking some medications for like anxiety and stuff. And I had come to the realization that I was gay and that it was okay to be gay, and it wasn't the end of the world. Like, I wasn't gonna die, and I was gonna find like who I was. But I still wasn't comfortable with like telling people, especially because I was in a Wells Lutheran school. And I think that's also very important, that you come out kind of when it's safe. I knew if I told the whole school that I was gay, I would get more and more torment, like more than before, and I just couldn't have that at this point. So I told one of my friends, I told my friend Kaylee that I was gay, and I told her specifically because she was a very accepting person. She, didn't look at me any differently. She saw me as the same person because I was the same person. There was nothing different about me. Nothing had really changed. Honestly, I'm so thankful that I had a friend like her in high school, because I had other friends in high school that I ended up telling, and basically they didn't accept me for who I was. And so those kind of people, I honestly just had to cut out of my life, because I just couldn't have the negativity in my life anymore. I had to cut those people out, and it's unfortunate that they couldn't accept me and be a part of my life, but at the end of the day, it's their problem that they can't accept me, it's not mine. I gradually got more and more self-confident as the year went on, because I had honestly just had it. Like, when people were making fun of me, I started defending myself. I just didn't care what people thought anymore, because their insults didn't hurt me anymore, because I was like, I am gay, so I don't know why. Their insults didn't hurt me anymore. So by this year, I was like dressing how I wanted, I was acting how I wanted, and I was just being myself without like really caring what people thought. And I remember I would get looks and I would get comments, and I had a teacher once like tell me that my shorts were too short and that people were talking about it and that teachers were talking about it. Number one, it like fit dress code, so it wasn't against the rules, but I was at the point where I was like, I don't care. Like, why are you telling me this? I don't care. And I always felt that a lot about the Wells Lutheran. They always cared about what people thought. Like, that was their biggest thing, was like, we have to care about what people think because we have to set an example, blah, 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 blah. And they're like, you're teaching people to care about what other people think. So they have to like change who they are to fit a certain criteria, which I was like, I'm done with that. I'm done with trying to fit a criteria. I'm just gonna be myself. When I graduated high school, I was at the ceremony and I went through it, and then when everyone was taking pictures, I took like a few pictures with people and then I was out. Honestly, I was done, you guys. I had just had it. I left, and it was probably the greatest moment of my life, just being like, goodbye. Like, I'm leaving you all behind. I'm going to college and I'm never looking back. When I started college, I was out. I was not hiding it anymore. I still hadn't posted about it on Facebook, so people from my school, my old high school, still didn't know that I was gay. In college, I was out. I went to the LGBT meetings. I was just out. Everyone knew that I was gay, and it was not a big deal. I went to a very open-minded school, so I was very, very fortunate. Eventually, I got my first boyfriend, and that is when I kind of just outed myself on Facebook so that everyone kind of knew. You know how on Facebook you can say like you're single, in a relationship, complicated, whatever? Basically, I put I was in a relationship with blah 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 and it was a boy. I just remember my Facebook just like blew up. Like, everyone liking it, supporting me. I obviously got people that like messaged me and like commented like I'm going to hell and like all this like nasty stuff, but I just didn't care. Like, I honestly didn't care. And I remember my one friend told me I was like the talk of the school or whatever because I had like come out or whatever. And I just thought it was funny because like they really honestly had nothing better to talk about. They really did. That school literally was so boring that there was never anything good to talk about. There was nothing ever interesting that happened. It was just funny to me. To end this video, I really want to just reiterate the point that it is so much better to just be yourself than it is to pretend to be something you're not. I honestly pretended to be something that I wasn't for so long, and it made me miserable. Like, you may not fit in with like the cool crowd at your like high school, but I find it so much more worth living to find people that you connect with and that are nice to you and support you than people that are gonna bash on you and make you feel like a terrible person. Life isn't meant to be lived like everybody else. You're not meant to be like everyone else. And that's why we're all so different. We all have our own unique interests and our own unique passions that we all love. And there's nothing wrong with being different. Like, being different is what makes up the entire world. Everyone's different. Nobody should be confined to some little box where they have to like be this, this, and this. Like, this is 2016. Like, you can do whatever you want. Being gay is fine. Being bisexual, that's fine. Being transgender, that's fine. I know that a lot of people struggle with being who they are, and it's really hard because, you know, they're getting made fun of and everything. And I had that same issue. I was made fun of so much, but I can honestly tell you, having gone through all of that, life is so much worth living when you're just being yourself and you find people who accept you for who you are. I'm honestly so thankful that I did go through that. I don't regret making the decisions that I did because it made me such a stronger person to this day. I'm honestly such a strong person, and I have such a thick skin now that if somebody tries to insult me for being who I am, it doesn't even matter to me anymore. I don't even take it personally anymore. It's like they have their own issues that they're dealing with that they need to deal with themselves, and they don't know how to take it out other than on you. And it's just kind of like a final ending. I have forgiven all the people that have tormented me. I don't hold any grudges anymore. I've moved on. They've moved on, and that's really the only way that you really can move on. If you want to move forward with your life and be happy, you have to forgive those people that hurt you and tormented you and made you feel bad about yourself, because at the end of the day, they don't matter. What they said does not matter. Ultimately, the only thing that matters is your happiness. As long as you're not hurting other people, do whatever you want. Be the person that you want to be, because you will be happy. And trust me, you don't want to live your life regretting not being the person that you want to be. And honestly, I'm the kind of person that doesn't want to look back on their life filled with regrets and being like, I wasn't myself, or I didn't do these things because I thought people would think X, Y, and Z. That's not how I want to live my life. I want to live my life without regrets, being the person that I want to be and just being happy. And that's ultimately all you can ask for. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I really had a lot of fun making it. I really do like looking back on some stories and telling you kind of how I came out and just like my process to the point where I was able to accept myself for who I was. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. I'm gonna try to put out new videos every week, so make sure you leave in the comments down below some different video suggestions that you have for me, and I'll definitely check them out. Also, my Instagram will be linked somewhere on the screen and also in the description down below, so make sure you go check that out. That's mainly where I post the most and can interact with you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in my next one.